inviting me. Appreciate being here. A quick clarification. I actually am working for Pennsylvania Resources Council, and we work collaboratively with Scrub on a project in Philadelphia. But Pennsylvania Resource Council is also looking to work on collaborative projects on billboard and outdoor advertising control in the 5-county area, not just with Scrub, but with any other organizations that are interested in control of outdoor advertising. With that, I'm going to start with some general background information. What is general outdoor advertising? Well, general outdoor advertising, we're not talking about on-premise business signs. These are the signs that a local business would put out for their advertising their business. What we're looking at are the ones that are the billboards. They're general outdoor advertising. They might be something from the little signs that you see tacked up on utility poles that say, lose weight now, work from home, 1-800, et cetera, et cetera. Up to the very large billboards, which are very high profit, high rental advertising that you'll see along both interstates and on state highways and local highways. Now, in the 50s, when the expansion of the federal highway system began, people became interested in the issue of control of outdoor advertising. General outdoor advertising is like any commercial advertising. It is based strictly on viewership. The more eyes see the ad, the more valuable it is. Therefore, the more people who travel that roadway, the more valuable that sign is. And you have to keep that in mind because it's a key concept in control of outdoor advertising. In 1965, for the federal highway system, they passed the Highway Beautification Act, which I think many people have heard of, Lady Bird Johnson's Act. This was to control proliferation of billboards in mostly rural and scenic areas. It really did not have a lot of controls in cities or municipalities because there wasn't the same concern for the aesthetic scenic values. Now I think as people have talked today, and I think most people in this room are aware, for our cities, a lot of our older cities that are looking at revitalization, the concept of aesthetics becomes more and more important, and therefore control of the outdoor advertising becomes important in these areas. Outside of the federal highway system and the state highways, it's up to the local municipality to control outdoor advertising. All the signs that you see in right-of-ways, these things that are on the utility poles that are stuck in the roadway, right-of-way, these are illegal signs and can be removed at any time. They have no permit, they have no right to be there, they are illegal. People who put them up can be fined up to $500 a day per sign.
By
That's
whom? The
state
Public
law.
Works Department?
That's state law.
By whom actually physically? The
Nobody-
Public Works Department?
Public Works Department, Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. The thing is, they're considered nuisance signs, so a lot of times it's not an issue that's pursued, but you'll find them accumulating more and more, and it is starting to become a major issue for a lot of code enforcement officers and for a lot of people. What you also have are some of the billboards that are considered non-conforming. These are billboards that might have gone up in your municipality, in your area at one time. They no longer fit the current sign control laws. So they're legal, they had a permit at one time, but they're no longer conforming. The issue is, if you're looking at beautification of the greenway, how do you get those down? Now, if they're along a federal aid highway system, federal law requires that you pay cash compensation for those signs. Cash compensation for some of these billboards can run up to $300,000 per billboard. So it's not a minor issue. On local roadways, it'll depend on what your local ordinances are. But, as I say, they're very valuable, and so you have to look at the economics of them. Now, what we've done with Scrub is we're looking at some of the billboard issues in Philadelphia. One of the things we recommend for any municipality, any group that's interested in this, is, okay, let's go out and do some field surveys. Let's see what is there, what's on the ground. Let's map everything. Let's look back at the records and see what their permits are. Gather as much information as we can. We did this in Philadelphia in 2 sample neighborhoods. We produced basically a report that talked about some of the issues in Philadelphia. We produced a map which showed where the billboards were, ones that were illegal, ones that were non-conforming, others that were conforming and permitted. We held a press conference. We started people talking about the issue. From what the information we gathered, we were able to come up with 3 three very succinct courses of action that we recommended. And that gave Scrub basically something to pursue, and so they're pursuing that course of action. As far as looking at areas where you might have a gateway area going in, or you might have an expansion of a right-of-way, you have to also think about what might be happening in those areas. Looking at the issue of billboards having viewership, if you're going to be bringing more people along a stretch of road, that area becomes more valuable for outdoor advertising. There's going to be a push to basically put billboards and signage up along that proposed roadway, because it's going to have increased viewership. Increased viewership creates increased value. So you have to anticipate that, because if the road goes in and then you start thinking about the issue of billboards, you're behind the ball, okay? The sign companies are already starting to look at where the layout of the road is going to be, and they might actually already be starting to purchase lease options on those properties, with the anticipation that they might be able to then put up outdoor advertising. If there are certain sign control laws in your municipality, they might be looking at ways that they can challenge those sign control laws for that area. They're always looking for new places to put signs. You can open up a roadway, you increase the size of a roadway, you reconfigure how traffic's going, it's going to open up areas for signs to go in. And you have to anticipate that ahead of time and plan for it. One of the big problems along I-95 and in this Coney area, when they realigned and widened I-95 and the accesses into that area, they left little slivers of land that they did not actually purchase. They purchased the right-of-way, and it left little slivers of land. Well, if the property owner is left with a little sliver of land that he cannot use for any economic purpose, he can then come before the Zoning Board of Adjustment and say, I have an economic hardship on this property. It's a real economic hardship because the action you, the government, took reduced the value of this land and made it basically worthless for anything except outdoor advertising. Well, guess what? Those are the cases where people can actually claim a hardship and actually get a variance to put outdoor advertising up. You have to anticipate that. You have to think about it. When you're talking about alignments of roadway, you better make sure that those little slivers of land are accounted for if you don't want to see billboard proposals and permit applications coming in. So with that very quick overview, I'm going to say that I'd like everybody, I have a number of pamphlets and information out on the back table. In the back, there's a picture of basically a gateway area in Philadelphia. It's a gateway area to the Philadelphia Zoo that receives thousands of people every week. This was an area where the zoo put a great deal of expense into cleaning up the bridge and reducing the graffiti and putting a lot of attractive features in it. They didn't do the next step. They didn't think about the outdoor advertising. So right behind this beautiful little gateway that they've established, you have a torn down fence, you have weeds growing, and you have outdoor advertising, in this case, liquor, and a nonprofit that has a big picture of a gun. You know, is this what you want? You can't control content because of First Amendment rights. So you have to think about, if you can't control content, you better think about controlling the signs if you want it to be incorporated properly into your gateway area. There's certain ways you can negotiate removal of signs. You have to think about the amount of money that's involved in them. Who's making the money? How much money are they making? Does it make sense to look at buying out the sign, cash compensation? Can you negotiate instead relocation of the sign? Can you negotiate resizing of the sign? There's a number of options you can pursue. At Pennsylvania Resources Council, we're hoping to pull all of that information together so that we can basically help each individual municipality tailor their approach. Working very closely with Scrub, we've worked with them to tailor a certain approach in Philadelphia. The problems in Philadelphia are not necessarily the same problems here, so it's important to get the information of what is important here, what is critical here, and then tailor the approach to the basic necessities of this area. And with that, a very quick overview. I'd be happy to take any questions.
You do And we're going to do questions at the
Oh,
end.
I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. Very good.
Thank you again, Lynn. As Lynn had said, you know, one thing we have to look at is that with the expansion proposal of Lafayette Street, we have to be careful that, you know, we keep it as attractive as possible and not allow the situation to occur where these billboards could possibly go up. The next speaker that we have here is it's a very unusual situation, how I came to meet this person. For 10 years I've been married, and my mother-in-law's been telling me about a relative in the family and how, you know, I would like really enjoy her once we meet her, and she lives down in Virginia, and she's just a wonderful person, and it's just never came about where we've had the opportunity to meet. Back on September 11th, I was scheduled to go to Harrisburg to see Tom Pelican, who runs Scenic America in Pennsylvania, do a forum about the program that Lynn was mentioning, which is America Beautiful. And I was unable to attend it due to the tragedy that occurred, and it was rescheduled. And at the time that it was rescheduled, it conflicted with my employment, and I was in Harrisburg already for another issue and was unable to attend that forum. I come home and I get this message on my answering machine from a woman who says it's David's cousin. I just want to let you know I was at this forum for Scenic America, and your name was passed around, and she said I couldn't believe that it was the same person. So we have had the privilege of finding that, you know, we came around full circle here, and this is how we ended up meeting the relatives. So I'd like to introduce to you Dee Gassoni. She represents Scenic America. Thank you.
Yes, this coalition really makes my Aunt Loretta very happy. She's very proud of Mary Ellen, and I've been hearing for 10 years about Mary Ellen. I arrive in Harrisburg, and they're passing information around and keep saying, Mary Ellen DiGregorio. And I'm thinking, how many Mary Ellen DiGregorios can there be? And I was thrilled because it's a wonderful person to meet. I'm very pleased to be here, and hello everyone. I know about the gateways to Norristown because I was raised, I spent my whole younger life in Conshohocken. I was born in Norristown, so I claim that, but I lived in Cunchy. I'm a Cunchy kid. And we always thought the guys were much cuter in Norristown, so way before we ever had a car, my friends and I would hike all the way from Conshohocken up the ridge and walk through Norristown to try to meet some cute guys when we were back in school. So I remember those gateways very well. And it's really neat to truly have come full circle because I grew up in this area, but for the last 10 years I've been out of the area and I've been in Virginia. I lived in a little town called Bedford, Virginia. Our claim to fame is that they just built a beautiful D-Day memorial in Bedford. And it's a wonderful little town, quaint. It has all the nice features that you want in a town. I did a lot of research before I moved there, and I chose that town for that reason. What began to happen in Virginia, the Department of Transportation is extremely wealthy and powerful. There are beautiful roads. If you love roads, Virginia is the state. There's so much pride there. We have the cleanest roads. And that's a wonderful thing. There's some wonderful pieces to that. But one of the things that was beginning to happen is that the Department of Transportation and some of the utility companies as well decided that all the roads, every single road, no matter how small or how large, needed to be stripped of trees because at least 2 days a year we had ice and the trees shaded the ice. Down in Virginia, the Department of Transportation's programs compete directly with general funds that pull programs out of schools. So here we have schools losing programs left and right, and we have citizens extremely upset that the beautiful trees, the redbuds, the dogwoods, Virginia's a beautiful state, that they're being stripped way back. And this is where our taxpayers' dollars are going. So in Bedford, as you walk through town, all you heard were people complaining because the trees were being cut. And once the trees were cut, and this is hard, I don't really have a display, but I do have some pictures and they're going to be hard to see. I can pass them around. But once the trees are cut, then there's massive chemical spraying. So what you would see would be these gorgeous vistas, mountains in the background, beautiful greenery, and then burnt orange hills from chemical spray where there once were beautiful redbuds, dogwoods, beautiful trees. So we were upset. So out of that upset, because if you don't use your voice, most people, we talk, but we don't use our voice in the right places. If you use your voice, so few people direct that to the right place, that you're heard. You're given some people go, okay, well, here's someone who's speaking to us. We need to listen. So you have power if you use your voice. So we decided to complain to the right people. I absolutely love creative coalitions. I don't want to work against people. I want to work with people. Eventually, we ended up working with VDON, because personally, wherever I live, I want to live in the healthiest and most beautiful community, not in the state, on the planet, and that's the goal. And to me, everybody should be a part of that, absolutely everybody. So we began to form a grassroots organization called the Evergreen Project. Eventually, we hooked up with Scenic Virginia. That Scenic Virginia was a fairly new organization in Virginia, but they have been extremely effective. They've actually gotten laws passed, and they also are interested in working with our Department of Transportation, with citizens, and they have done a wonderful, wonderful job. I was so pleased to be part of that and to work actively with Scenic Virginia. I came to this state, and I was notified by Scenic Virginia that there was this meeting in Harrisburg, because Pennsylvania does not have the Scenic organization. And there's a place for it, there's a need for it. And what I'd like to do now is just read 2 little paragraphs from the Scenic America brochure to explain what they're about. Scenic America, Our Choice. Scenic America is the only national organization dedicated to protecting natural beauty and the distinctive character of our communities. We believe that our country can grow and prosper without losing its beauty. Growth is inevitable, ugliness is not. And then the response by Scenic America. Scenic America is a small organization with a great big mission. We help citizens and officials determine how they want their community to look and how to achieve that vision. We advocate for federal, state, and local laws that support their goals. Right now, we have an opportunity. We don't have this organization in our state. We have tremendous growth and development. I know as I drive along, this is something that just comes naturally to me. It hurts me to see some of the beauty of the area just being stripped away. I think there is a way. We all have seen it, areas where they did a beautiful job of developing, and they also kept the character, and they kept the natural beauty. Thinking along these lines, I love the environment, I love beauty, but it's more than that. It's also great economics. So if you want your area to thrive, we need to all enjoy what we have here and some of the real beauty that's here. So one of the things, my job when I was in Virginia was developing youth programs, and I absolutely love working with youth because there's not a project, it doesn't matter how large, where I don't think, you work with the people, hands-on, you work with youth. If we take care of our youth, we take care of our future. So to me, that's a great long-term investment. So there's not a thing I do, I don't want some young people involved. They're fresh, they have energy, they have vitality, they have ideas. And I love to be a good listener because I love to surround myself with some of the most creative, the brightest people, and especially youth, because they problem solve well. And if we encourage that, I think we really do something great. I would love to see a website around the Norristown initiative where youth can plug in and say, I have a solution to my neighborhood. And I heard today, we don't have to wait 5, 7 years. We can start now trying to get everybody on board to help make this absolutely fantastic and beautiful place to be, even more beautiful. Because I love working with youth, and part of my job was designing programs for youth, I also recognize that a lot of the community programs simply don't have the resources, but business does. And so I love where we get a business to support a great project or a great program. We try to develop something really fresh. It can be a little outrageous. A lot of times, if possible, we certainly want the people that are in the program to design it. So if it's youth design, that's even better if it's for youth. And what happened in Virginia was we happened to ask a car dealer, we had this wild idea that we wanted to go around and we wanted to get the opinions of youth on different projects. Actually, part of it was teen parenting. There were a lot of, in the part of Virginia where I was living, children between the ages of 10 and 14 were having babies more than, you know, the state average, the country average, way too, I mean, totally should not happen. So what we did, we asked a car dealer, a wild idea, some people thought this was a stupid thing they ever heard, to give us a car. And then if a kid gave us their opinion or what they thought about some of these issues, they could write on the form that we had. Weren't judging how well written it was, just drop it in. We're gonna do a drawing and we're gonna give this car away. And the reason this came about, I taught a class on parenting for teen parents. And every time a kid had a birthday, we would ask this question. If you could have anything on earth, I mean, you could make anything happen for yourself or you could have anything, what would you do? Most of the people answered, we only got 2 answers. It was either a new car, that's as big as the dream got for kids. Twice we got, I would love to know who my mother is, I'd love to meet her, or I would love to see who my father is, and then the whole group, you know, became therapy, kids were crying. But most of the time, as big as the dream gets for a lot of youth, is a car. So we made a deal with the car dealer. You give us a car, they can turn it in and get the cash if they want to use it for college. We got 3 cars over 3 years, and the last one, the young man who won it, he entered the contest. He wrote his opinion and wrote what he thought 6,000 times. We didn't limit it because we want energy. We want kids do, you know, so I have pictures. This is pretty outrageous. And I'm going to get back to what we did with Scenic Virginia. We took this car, which was the first giveaway car, filled it with baby think-it-overs. You know those babies that you take home and they cry and they wake you up in the middle of the night? I'm going to pass this around. But anyway, we made the car dealer very, very happy. We kept this car in his dealership for a while. I'll pass this way. And we invited some of the most impressive people in the area. We have senators. We brought everybody to that car dealership. But we got him on board for so many projects that we did that revolved around youth. And what happened was it raised the bar for a lot of other larger car dealers in the area. After 3 years, they were all supporting great programs, and they were all doing this kind of thing. I noticed this, I come into Norristown, how many car dealers there are. And they need to be on board. I'm sure they are already in part, but how can they help beautify their community? How can we do something that's really kind of a fun project? The other thing for Scenic, and I'm almost finished and I'm talking, the other thing we did with Scenic Virginia was that young people are beautiful to shoot. They have great photographs. We get in the news all the time. We get on TV. We look for every opportunity to reward the businesses that work with us. But one of the things, I remember growing up as a teenager, I loved Lady Bird Johnson. Even back then, I just loved that she cared about roadside beauty. Some things you're just born to. I have no explanation. Roadside beauty since I was a little kid mattered to me. And so I always wanted to thank Lady Bird. And I like to, you know, we like to do fresh things, outrageous things to get attention, plus you can get coverage that way. And one of the things we did, we got a group of young people together, we talked about what Lady Bird did and what we're doing now. We gave Lady Bird a beautiful award, which you can't see real well in this picture. This is the Scenic Virginia newsletter. But we also started some gardens that are youth designed, youth developed, and they are called Lady Bird's Gardens. And where some of the roads have been stripped of some of the beautiful trees, they're replanting them in the name of Lady Bird Johnson, and it's youth designed, and so that's great. Walmart supported it with grants, so we have some really exciting things happening. The last thing I would like to say, one of the things that I think whenever you develop a gateway is that you have to think more than just visually. This area has a heritage that goes beyond the visual. We need to think about all our senses. People respond on many levels, not just visually. And I know one of the things that I always think of when I think of Norristown, I'm Italian American, I love food, a little too much. But when I used to come always from Conshohocken to Norristown, this is what I used to remember. passing the Stroman's Bakery and smelling that fresh bread being baked,
Yeah.
or going into downtown Norristown and smelling those pizzelles being baked. Now, along Restaurant Row or whatever, and if you invite businesses that also have that in mind, that there are many things that appeal to us. We don't want to hear too much noise. We want greenery is always a good solution. You could have trees that are beautiful, they help stop some of the noise problems. You could have them with flowers, in the spring they can smell wonderful. But if you think pleasing all of your senses, when you're developing any project, that's also a good way to go. So I'm very excited to be part of this project. Here are some cheerleaders I'm going to pass around. This is a real popular photograph. Anything we do with kids, we get, because I was talking to Tony back there, and I'm going to find Tony, poor Tony, because Tony likes to film things. And one of the things we did, we told the kids to sit in the car, and it was a fun, non-threatening way to get involvement by the people. And also, we wanted their parents involved wherever possible, kids and their parents. I can think of some things like maybe a mural. I've seen murals that are too overpowering, but maybe a subtle mural that not only is along a gateway that does something really that is striking, but gives a positive message, gives something back to the community. There are a lot of negative messages about fathers, and there's a whole movement to portray fathers and in a much better light and to have them be more active. So I could envision something like, along one of these gateways, a beautiful mural where fathers and children are portrayed, painted by fathers and children, you know, where they get to sign their name on the part they do. But I love the piece where these larger projects get brought to the people, and the people get to do something really great and be a part of. And so that's what I'm very happy to be part of. If anyone is interested in anything from Scenic America, there's a sign-up sheet there. I would love to see Scenic Pennsylvania be centered in Norristown, because I think it would bring a lot of energy to this region. I think that could be a really cool thing. At least an office, if not the central office of Scenic Pennsylvania. So if anyone's interested in that, please leave your name, and I'll be happy. We'll work together. And it's a wonderful organization because they have a lot of resources to give to holding on to what we have in the community that is beautiful and is our heritage, and to also make things as beautiful as possible. Thank you.
Before we go into our last speaker, Doug Seiler, I'm going to put a plug in for our next forum. These are ongoing forums. We do them monthly. I think we take maybe 1 or 2 months out in the summer. But our next one is going to be centered around Norristown's historical architecture and why we need to fight to preserve it. We tried to find a different site, one that's an historical site, to do this forum. We've done one once before. We did it on the Edenzia building on Main Street. Very well reserved. It was a great view. They had a great room. The building was fantastic. So we're still researching. We haven't found the building yet, but resistance.
We want to use the PNC Bank building. It's a
Bill?
great room.
Ah, you found it.
I think we got it. Top floor, of course, so we get the view.
That better, more architecturally important floor.
Okay.
Speak out, right?
Do I hear anything on this?
Yes.
Yeah.
When
Okay.
is the date? What's the date? Just a month.
Okay, good point.
Your building.
That's, Jonathan?
We'll
We do it on Saturday mornings, usually the middle of the month. I think the next month for April will be, I think 17th or
So
20th.
It's the 20th?
20th?
April 20th.
April 20th? Doable?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, folks, please put on your calendars. What floor?
There's the boardroom, which is the second floor, and I'll finalize the details. It's a very beautiful boardroom. A lot of-
I've been up there. It's been a long, long time. Yes, this is true. This is definitely, for those of you who haven't been in that building, it's definitely worth checking out. Very much so. Thank you very much. Okay, settles that. Part of the discussions are going to be about harbs. And for those of you who don't know what that is, a HARB is an Historical Architecture Review Board. And we're going to have state historic and museum commission people available for our panel. We're also hoping to get members of our own council there. We know that the discussion has come up before about creating a HARB for Norristown, but quite frankly, it's just never gotten off the dime yet. So hopefully this will be another opportunity to get the ball rolling. I know it's a hot issue in town right now. There's another building that's scheduled for demolition. I believe it's the...
Seymour Bridal Show.
I'm sorry?
Seymour Bridal Show.
Okay, I knew it was bridal. I didn't know the first.
Seymour.
Seymour's Bridal Salon or shop?
Shop, Seymour.
That has created a lot of havoc in the community about the proposed demolition. So this is the type of thing that we need to get out and discuss and talk about and see what can be done to prevent our historical assets be destroyed. So next and last, and then we're going to take a very short break after Doug's presentation. We'll try and finish up our snacks and coffee and juices and whatnot we have here. Doug Seiler, President of the Greater Norristown Corporation and President of Seiler Architects, is here to speak on the definition of gateways and what he believes that the Greater Norristown Corporation can bring to the table for us in getting to that goal.